Nick cooks his delicacies over an open fire.
I always love burning something. If there's a chance for me to light a fire and burn a hole in your lawn, I will.
Decadent dessert that comes off an open fire. Really quite spectacular.
I'm still surprised in general how many chefs need to continue to be reminded what means to support local.
This show, one of the unique aspects of it is how Nick prepared and presents the foods. Tell us a little bit about it's not this fine dining indoor kitchen. It's a different method.
Yeah, one of the selling points to the show to Bell was Nick. We submitted a bunch of hosts, and all quite good on camera, but the difference maker was the fact that Nick cooks his delicacies over an open fire, and it's really quite remarkable, the relationship that he has with the pots and the plates, and how he monitors the temperature. It's like an oven, and it's go closer to the fire is hotter, and he backs stuff up. Oh, this is getting a little too hot, so we'll push it to the edge of the plate. And the relationships and the risks that he takes with some of these dishes, just cooked over an open flame. It was really quite remarkable. Desserts that he made. I always get this wrong.
The tarte tatin.
Tarte tatin.
The apple one?
It was
the nuts.
A nut
the
farm.
nuts. Yeah, it was really quite and poutine melted, and it looked so beautiful. That the poutine
at Mountain Oak Cheese.
at
Yeah,
Mountain Oak,
yeah.
and they used the truffle Gouda.
That's right.
He used the truffle Gouda, so quite remarkable. The bison burgers, of course, they were. And I ate these things. So the Wissahick, back to the indigenous one too, is who used nixtamalized corn, which is the indigenous way of making corn flour. And we went through that process. And the tacos at Wissahick might have been my favorite, and they were all great. Everything was amazing, but the rich textures and flavors of the nixtamalized tacos were just really out of this world. One thing that, looking back at the episode, one thing that I almost regret not doing is there's a fungus that grows on the corn, and it too is a delicacy. But we saw some of it, but we didn't.
No, we didn't see any. Or did we see evidence of it? We might have seen evidence of it.
I think there might have been a little bit of it.
Yeah, but the season had been missed, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you're putting a lot at risk, a lot on the line when you're using an open fire. Is that part of the adrenaline rush for you to see how you can control nature through the fire and the dish you're creating?
Maybe it is. I just love. I always love burning something. If there's a chance for me to light a fire and burn a hole in your lawn, I will. And so anytime we can dream it up on a catering menu or an event, this summer I'm doing fire-cooked meals every Saturday at the restaurant in the parking lot. We're cooking over wood fire. So I love it, and perhaps that is it. Perhaps it's the adrenaline. My first restaurant gig that I got to work with fire was a bagel shop. We did bagels in the morning and pizzas in the afternoon, and just learning that concept of having to really keep an eye on the temperature of things on a long term. You can't just go, I need to turn it up now. You need to be like 45 minutes ahead of yourself, and you can't let a fire go out. So it was almost like, I think I'd been cooking for about 15 years at that point, and I left the restaurant industry to work at this bagel shop so that I could work on my business plan to open a restaurant. So I think at that moment in time, discovering this concept of combining live fire cooking with restaurant cooking was like starting yourself all over again. You'd been doing something for a while, you felt like you'd mastered it to some degree, and then you get to just change it completely and learn it all over again. And I just absolutely love it. I love the results that we get. I love the process of doing it. I love the attention that I have to give it because of how risky it can be, and it just impresses people. So I'm always here to impress people.
Like any chef wants to do.
Exactly. We have egos.
And from a television point, I think it's really quite unique, and I don't know of any other show that that does it, and I think it really cuts through and really makes a difference, and really intrigues viewers too as well. What's he going to make on this, and then the final products that. Decadent dessert that comes off an open fire. Really quite spectacular.
One of the interesting things about the series is that very few people have dug deeply into the stories, the backstories of the farmers. How has the reaction been to the series from the people that you've profiled?
So far, it's been really quite overwhelming. They've been really impressed with it, and really grateful, because their motivation is passion. It's not money. It's not fame. It's we make these great products, and we put our heart and soul into it, and we do it so that you can put it on your plate and appreciate the effort that we put into it. And it's like hosting a dinner. You have guests that come over, and you make something that you think is worthwhile, and you see the joy on their faces. And it's the same kind of motivation for these people, that we're making these great products, and we want to share them, and we really like to see the people come to the door and appreciate it. The people at, again, Mountain Oak, they have that whole relationship with the customers that come there, and they come back, and they come from miles around. So they come in and go, yeah, this is really spectacular. This is so much better that you can that you would get in a store. And part of that, the biggest part of that, is just the attention to detail, and the fact that they love doing it so much. Adam Van Bergijk is 71 years old, works 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and he said
He loves it.
He loves it. He said right in the episode, "I love to make cheese."
I think every time that accent's so bad. Maybe you should stop doing accents.
I can't help it. I can't. But yeah, he just says he loves to make cheese, and you can tell in the taste.
And I imagine we've just scratched the surface with 6 episodes. There's probably 10 times, 100 times more stories out there of similar people doing the same types of things in their own fields.
Yeah, I would just correct you in saying they're likely not similar people. They're also vastly different from one another. But yeah, you're spot on. Whether it be from a chef's point of view, and how many farms you can find to supply a menu with, or your imagination, your creativity with. But from the point of view of this show, that I think became more about the personalities than the food. Absolutely, there's just so many out there, and whether they be multi-generational farms doing things in a very traditional way, multi-generational farms doing things in a brand new way, which is even more interesting, or brand new farms. There's a lot of young people that are getting into farming. I think there's a lot of motivation for young people to want to look to something like farming as a realistic opportunity to make a living and to contribute to the community. And there's a lot of stories out there that I hope we get the chance to keep telling.
Here we are in Stratford, which is home to the Stratford Chef School and a strong culinary tradition within the restaurant community, and also a strong connection to the farms around the region. Do you see education of the next generation of chefs easy to get them to buy into the local food movement, or is it something they need to be introduced to?
I think surprisingly, you have to keep introducing them. I mean, Stratford Chef School does a wonderful job of making sure that by the time those kids leave the 4 walls, they are like living the ethos. They believe in it, and they do it, and that's awesome. But I'm still surprised in general how many chefs need to continue to be reminded what means to support local. And it doesn't mean like having an item on the menu with the farm listed and it's like 1 out of 100 items. It means like getting down to the boring stuff. Like no one gives a shit about the onions. Where are you getting those from? Are they just the cheapest onions that you can find? Or are they from somewhere nearby? Are they storage onions? Like I think there's still a lot of education that needs to go on. But that's easy to do once you get them in your kitchens, and you have these dedicated leaders like that we are so lucky to have in our restaurants, and I see so many of, whether it be in Stratford or beyond. I mean, Stratford's an incredible community when it comes to all of the arts, and food is not taken lightly here. And I think they've always been doing a great job here of making sure they support the farmers. And you also have farmers from the Stratford area that are maybe a little more avant-garde, a little more social media savvy. And they've also made it easier. There's some legendary farmers in this area, yeah. But it's an ever-going thing. It'll never stop being an important message to tell the next generation.